I could do a song.
Maybe like a tap dance, something like that.
I could do. I could do an interpretive dance. Take your pick. What other things could I do? I could read a poem.
People aren't going to recognize you next week with your new hair.
I know. This is the last time I'm going to be having crazy lockdown hair.
I quite like it though. It's kind of a bit Guy of Gisborne. Yeah.
Sort of musketeer style, like
a little bit medieval.
Something medieval about something very medieval about your hair this week, so.
As well, if you had like your mustache and your little chinny chin beard here, that would be very D'Artagnan.
Maybe I'll keep it, and maybe next week. The problem is it's pretty sought after this time slot I've got.
Oh, you're not doing then. You've got an appointment.
3:00 today. Appointment. Be there. Be square.
Well, that's exciting. Can't wait to see what you do.
In and out. Wear your mask.
I can't wait to see your undercut next week.
We'll come out with a bowl cut. Go for the 90s bowl cut, please.
Well,
I think that serves as a good intro.
Yeah, we'll leave that.
Can we get on with the
watches? So yeah, this week we are going to be taking more of a trip down memory lane.
Right.
So we're going to look at just what we kind of did in the year of the 1953/Emmeline, and kind of how we came about it and things.
What year did that launch? You have to remind me.
So I believe that this was 2018.
2018.
We launched and shipped, and then that kind of went into 2019.
Yes.
Because then in 2019 at the end, we then launched the 68. So yeah, 2018.
2018. So yeah, a recent addition to the collection.
It's kind of weird as well. Like I was going through all the archived images from everything, not just the watches, but life and things like that. And when you actually start in an order and go back, you're like, oh my God, we really did quite a lot of stuff. Like, stuff on houses and stuff for the business and like all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know how we fit that in a year, but I think 2018 was, like looking back, was a really good year. I think it was a really fun year looking at all the stuff we did.
Yeah, we were, for most of it, still promoting the 40, I guess. And it was like the second time round that we'd invited people from the beginning to get involved with the watch. So literally from sketch in January all the way through to delivering the product in November.
Yeah.
It was kind of the first. I know we kind of tested the process with the 40. I guess it was the first time we've done it. We did it really comprehensively.
I think the 40 we kind of almost, not that we left it a bit late, but we didn't really start sharing stuff till later on than this. I think you were sharing like literally initial sketches of this back in the January of that year. Like we went from literally the start all the way through to the finish. Yeah,
and it's something that was again copied for the edition that came out after. So when people followed us through 68, we wanted to keep bringing them more and more into our world, wasn't it? And I guess this was the start. This was the real start of that, the real push for transparency.
Exactly, and also this was the year that we did 2 watches. Well, it's the most we'd ever done.
Oh yeah.
How many did you do? 1, 2.
We did 8 watches.
How many? 9.
We brought out 8. Oh no, we brought out 9 watches.
Yeah.
We brought out 9 watches.
Wow.
15. One of which was one of a kind, which I'm sure we'll go into.
Yeah.
But we launched 2 ladies' watches and 6 gents/unisex styles that kind of like took up the core of the collection. 9 watches, and we did 6 the previous year. So
that was pretty nuts doing 9. That was I mean, don't even let's get started on the 1968. How many we did that?
I was gonna say, what do you mean?
Yeah,
It's easy.
we didn't learn anything from this, did we? This
We
project.
learned nothing from this process.
But yeah, so we decided that we were going to do a ladies' watch because we kept getting asked about it, and so we've got that to talk about.
Yeah.
Which all gone, no more.
Where should we start?
Well, so weeks previously have been relatively structured, with kind of us talking about certain things in certain chronological orders. This week is going to be a little bit more random as we meander back in time, and Sam hasn't seen these, so these are going to be, just as
nice little
surprise. Let me just get my folder ready. Okay, hopefully this will present. If this doesn't present, it's because it's in a downloads folder instead of on my desktop. Okay, nope, I'm in. Okay, I'm starting with this just as have this in your memory, because this was basically what our stand looked like before we went into 2018.
So this was Bath and West.
Yep.
And we had some very kind neighbours that allowed us to place some of our photography on their wall. And yeah, we had this. We've been using this method of exhibiting for a while, haven't we? And kind of tried and tested and worked out what works and what doesn't work. But it's great. I love our scaffold boards.
Yeah, well, this was kind of the Mark 1, wasn't it? Mark 1 scaffold boards with the watches hung up, which obviously gave us kind of limited room on there. But also the time it used to take, well, you mainly, because the shows that you did called for them to be done, but to screw all of those pictures into the wall and in a beautiful order so that they were, perfectly spaced was a bit of a pain in the ass.
Mm.
But I just thought I'd show people that, because that was like the last one that we did before we then moved to the Mark II.
Yeah, let's move to Mark II.
So it's not going to be the next photo. I'm just like telling you to just memorize this photo, because they're all in the order that we did. So this was when we first started our rebrand. We kind of wanted to tie all of our graphics in with the watches.
Well, we had plaques, didn't we? Like museum-style plaques that about the collection. But we wanted the thing we want to get most across about our brand is this sort of idea of accessible information and lots of things for people to pick up and take away. And we just like this idea of like even a simple thing such as a leaflet being almost like something you'd really want to take away, something to pick up and take away with you. So these were the kind of development towards that, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of had flyers before that had overall information about our company and what we did, but there was quite a lot to get on there. And so because we had the museum plaques, you obviously couldn't take those away, but it was almost like, how do we do those where people can take them away and genuinely want to, but then they will then tie in with all the other graphics going on around the product. And so we wanted it as well that you could take away one of these flyers and because you like that particular model, and then you would remember what that model was, so you could just take the flyer for okay, so I told you that we were kind of moving in a bit of a random direction. We'll come back to those flyers in a bit, but yeah, so this was basically the starting point of 953.
We had the idea of retaining the bezel shape from the 1940 and placing it onto the latest watch, but really going for something that had this feeling of like opulence. Is that the word I'm wanting to look for? Like the whole backstory to the 1953 was the Queen's coronation, so we wanted something that was dressy, smart, and it wasn't necessarily a star that we'd explored thoroughly before. We'd looked through the kind of classic styles and the origins, and we touched on a more kind of casual dress sense with the 1934. But I think this was our first opportunity to sort of tread into the let's go for something that's really gonna like grab people's attention with just how smart and dressy the watch can look.
I see you haven't finished your shoulders there either. This is like one of the first. I think you probably shared this on a lot of these images.
Intentional. I was wanted floated shoulders that weren't connected to the watch.
A lot of these images are images that we kind of, have sent each other, that we're, kind of like, what do you think about these ideas and stuff like that. So that original photo that I showed you before of the stand, that was probably back May 2017, but this is basically our starting point of probably January 2018.
Yeah.
So from now on, it'll be kind of a little bit all over the place, but it will be in the order that we did these things throughout the year.
Yeah, so we had like the first time we really had this feeling of like a community in helping us develop the product as we go along. So we were sharing sketches and this idea of sharing the most basic CADs to our followers to get their input into exactly the sort of watch they want to wear was really good for the process. I found. Yeah. So again, this is like an early CADs for this design, touching on the Emmeline one on the right hand side there. So we wanted a style that matched that could almost be unisex, and something that a lady could also wear as much as a man. But we wanted sort of certain points. There were certain differences in the watch to sort of soften the aesthetic and style a little bit, rather than, because our watches, as I admit, are quite aggressive to look at. They're quite in your face, I guess, with how different they are. So we wanted to kind of dip our toes into sort of the world of normalness, in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I put this in here just because I think I'd asked you to send me a photo of how the 1953 compared in size to the 1940. And you can see it's kind of quite not a step back, but like a different step, really. Like they couldn't be more different, considering they're 13 years apart in the timeline. The differences are absolutely enormous there. But like Sam said, you can kind of just about see the shape of the bezel from one to the other is something that we kind of continued through. And then this was basically the comparison to the 1929.
So it's quite you can compare them quite nicely there.
Yeah.
It had the sort of form of the dimensions of the 29, but a sort of kind of continuation from the 34 style of construction.
And so then this was literally like the kind of opening thought on our rebrand, really. You'd done these amazing exploded drawings for the 1940 to upload to kind of Instagram, just like 2 colors, but they were just so impactful. We were like, actually, should we be doing something like that for all of them? Like, it was
a sub brand, like a brand within a brand. So each collection would be identified through like the simplest use of color.
Yeah, and it kind of was like, well, we're onto something there, and these are like really crap. But this was just the very initial kind of offerings that we were kind of going backwards and forwards, just being like, oh, what about this and what about that kind of thing. And I think this is probably pretty close to what we did, although these aren't the exact colors for the 1934, because we ended up with the kind of gray and white. But this was what we'd kind of ended up on, really. So we had like the spec on one side, and then you flipped it over and it had the case back and everything on the other side. And yeah,
we have avid collectors of the flyers, not just the products now. So the products that when we do go out and exhibit, we have people come up to us just as often saying, "Oh, can I take all of these flyers because I want to do something with them?" And you think, sure, go for it. They're there. They're there to be.
Quite a few people ask us to sign these flyers. So.
worse in a few years.
We're always happy to oblige.
Yeah.
This was one of the posters that we then knew were going to be behind us at the stand. So it was kind of replicating the flyer that you just saw. But then each one will have like a kind of close-up image of either a technical drawing or a part of the technical drawing.
Yeah.
And you've kind of been able to see those behind my head for the last however many weeks because I've been alternating them. And then these were all the flyers that had came in that we got done. Got printed.
Nice choice of stock as well for the flyers.
Yeah. I can't remember why we picked the colours we did in the end. Were they based? Can you remember? Or were they based on the colours that you'd originally used when you did the kind of post? I honestly can't remember.
That's certain combination. Yeah, there was a thought process behind it, but John, you really put me on the spot here. I can't remember what that thought process.
No, of course, yeah, there was a process with all of these things. You kind of do them, but I just honestly can't remember, and I just I think a lot of
I think we'd looked at colours we'd utilised throughout the brand for since day one, and thought, okay, well, this will match that. That will match that.
Because all of these oranges are the same. For example, like where we've used a colour and used it more than once, they've always been the same colour. I think we picked a palette that we thought could work across multiple colourways. But then this was just looking at them, just set up to see how they might look in real life. The bulldog clip there, so they don't blow away. This was the first poster that we got. Originally, we got these made out of paper. And they were an absolute nightmare. I just remember you doing a show and having like a diagonal piece of sellotape literally like ran through the middle of one of yours because you just like caught in the wind and just ripped in half.
So we use proper sturdy like waterproof canvas now, don't we?
Yeah. And then now they can just blow around till their heart content. Oh, the first show that we launched them at, which I kind of think might have been
Retro.
That was the first outing.
Yeah, that is Race Retro right there.
Because I came and met you, and I think I had to bring him with me or something.
Loved that show. People loved it.
I know, it was good though, wasn't it? It was like a real change for us, but it kind of brought everything together, everything that we've been wanting to do for so long, and bring it all together. It kind of did, really. And I still, even though this was 2018, it was 2 years ago, I still absolutely love how they look. And it's great because every year we bring out a new one. We get excited about what the posters and the flyers are going to look like. So this would have been, that was probably February by the time we got to this point, just to keep people updated with where we are. We then resprayed the boards to say the built to order on there, the kind of name boards. Now we kind of go on the front of the stand just because a lot of the shows that we do, you can't really kind of get them in. Then we moved into March. We took our first international trip.
Was that pre-vomit or post?
We went to Essen.
Was this Essen?
Yeah.
I think I was really ill on this trip, wasn't I? John?
That's me with my little indicator reflectors.
Oh, God.
So, it was quite daunting going there. And obviously, we'd never been to a show that was abroad. And normally you get used to doing shows and, your way around them and you can speak to people if you're not sure what you need to do and things. But we literally got there and we had like a half-hour window to get everything up. Otherwise, we got fined or something. And we had to put
it was like hundreds of euros as well, if I remember.
It was like a €200 deposit to park the van. And so we literally just dumped everything and just like ran off basically, and then came back later once we parked the van. But look at that, from literally in just a few.
Essen was fun, but hard work. My gosh,
it was. Thankfully, there was like about 2 stands down. There was all the guys from Bewley, the museum.
Yeah,
so kind of chatting to them, and they were giving us the lowdown. But this was our first. I look so happy to be there. But one of the things that we got, you kind of don't realize this stuff when you're doing it, but we got there, everything set up, and then realized that the website wouldn't take foreign payments.
Yeah.
And so I remember us like the morning of the first day, sat in a coffee shop, like you trying to figure out how the hell we were going to accept anything from anyone.
We got there, I think.
Yeah, we got there, but it was all these things that we learn along the way.
We're so tired.
On the road.
Oh my god.
It's
That
weird.
was yeah.
I look like I'm driving a left-hand drive car though. And so then we're back in about probably end of March.
So this is Red. So we wanted. Should I talk about the charity?
Yeah, of course.
We wanted to do. We love this idea of. We do limited edition watches, right? And we had this idea of building a one of a kind for a charity that had some meaning and would be beneficial. And we had this. I saw that red is quite a strong color in our identity, and we wanted to support the poppy appeal at the same time as us getting ready to launch this product. So we built a one of a kind watch. We put it up for auction back in November of 2018, and yeah, we raised over £2,000, didn't we, for the Shropshire poppy appeal, and yeah, so we've got a one of a kind. That was our first ever one of a kind watch that we'd produced, and it was really successful. I loved the whole process. The support that we got from it was brilliant. Yeah, it really. I felt like we really went to some effort to execute that to such a high standard. Which, yeah, I think it's probably the proudest moment of the brand. Actually, I can't think of another milestone that is better than that. Personally.
It's a real shame that I have just realised that I didn't include the picture of me holding a giant check with the.
Oh, John. Well, people can check that out on social media. Maybe we can post it up at some point this week to remind people.
But we made the Shropshire Star and the Whitchurch Herald.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So there are pictures out there. John with a giant check.
So moving on now to about June, we went to Eroica again, the vintage bike festival that we talked about previously.
Yeah.
We offered up a prize for the best in. No, actually, this was the second year we offered up the prize because we did it on the first year. Because this gentleman here, who's an amazing guy, he won it the previous year for best dressed gentleman. As you can see here, looking absolutely dapper as always with his 1934 cream that he won. But this particular year, 2018, we actually offered the prize for the best in show, which was the best bike. And this guy here won it. So I've just moved it. I just don't know what the next image is going to be. It could be anything, Sam. But I have vetted them, so hopefully it's nothing too embarrassing. We also rebranded all the outer wraps for the boxes with the wax seal to match up.
Well, it's just the first. These were steps into it. The product isn't just the watch. The product is everything. It's the service behind the product, the packaging, the literature that comes with the product that we touched on with the flyers and posters, the books and all of these items that come with the watch, and this idea of it being built to order, which they are by John in our workshop, and being finished off with this wax seal we're really trying to strengthen just across how much time and effort has gone into each of these individual like lovingly made items. So yeah, this is the start of that development, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's good.
This was also the first year we went to Chateau Impney Hill Climb.
Impney, sadly, no longer with us. But
I think the same weekend you were at Duxford, actually. I think we had a double header that weekend.
Yeah, that's always a good weekend for us.
Yeah. So it was absolutely baking that day, like the hottest day I think I can remember. I think it was the semi-finals of like some football tournament or something like that, and we thought, oh my god, it's going to be like there's going to be no one here, but it was absolutely rammed. It was one of the best shows we've ever done. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Then we also went to actually,
That's the show.
no, this might actually be the first Duxford, actually.
Okay.
Because this was Mark who came with us, who makes the tools for us. It's one of the tools here. And so he brought some of the stuff that he makes, which is up here on this pump, which is his lamping and stuff. This is actually almost Mark 2A of the stand, because we ended up having to put these wings on the side of it to increase the size of it so we could get all the watches on. And this was the I know we're talking about the 1953, but this was the 1940 at Duxford in Sally B, Memphis Belle. We managed to get a tour of that.
Fun fact about Sally B, it was my favourite aircraft of the Southend Air Show when it was on.
That is a fun fact.
I always loved Sally B.
You must love it when you go to Duxford then. You can see it every time you go.
I know.
This here, I think that was Chateau Impney.
No, this one is Silverstone.
No, it was, but I believe that was Chateau Impney, because now we're in July and this was Silverstone.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there must be some kind of filter on this, because look how perfectly clear my forehead is. I'm like been Botoxed up to the hill. Not a line on my face. Yeah, this is one of our, if not our favorite show of the year, and unfortunately we didn't go last year or that year. But it was just amazing. Like, it's just, if ever you get the chance to go, it's absolutely fantastic. It's Silverstone Classic.
Best show of the year.
Yeah. No, it's a real shame, because it would be probably in about 3 weeks' time now, and it's obviously not going to be on, which is a real sad point of the year. But you know, it'll be back next year, bigger and better than ever. This was we basically wanted to change the screen print, having done multiple versions that were awful, god awful. Like, I just saw a few of them before, and I wasn't going to share them because they were terrible, the designs that I'd done to try and do this screen print from the 50s. And we ended up wanting to do this map, but it being this kind of fold out where you'd have this A3 map of the Queen's coronation route. So this was basically the early signs of us drawing it all out, and a few of the kind of development
It was based onto the packaging as well as items on the with that came with the watch.
Yeah, it kind of went across everything, didn't it? Because it kind of looked, when you cut it down into sections, it actually looked quite nice and abstract. So it really worked quite nicely on the box, so that when you turned the box over, you then got the next bit of it, and it kind of carried on over the whole thing. This here is just a screen grab, because this was actually, we made it onto the highlights reel at Silverstone Classic on ITV4.
ITV4.
Yeah, which is quite exciting. Look at that. Someone there, actually, Sam, wanting to collect our flyers. Look how many they've got in their hand.
I told you.
They've got a fistful of them. And then these were the development sketches, development photos for the 1950s.
That looks terrible, doesn't it? When you look at it like that.
I think I bought something and I just smashed it and sent you a photo. I was like, what do you think of this? Do you think this looks okay?
It was this idea, like, okay, we wanted to shoot these really gloriously dressy watches, and what do we sit them on? Usually we go to like reference points like the engines of jet planes for the 1940, or like the front covers of first edition books from the 1930s for the 1934 collection. So this one, it was all about sort of like this idea of like the crown jewels, wasn't it? Like this, they'd been smashed to pieces, and we'd placed our watches in these scenes to get that story across.
So this
was I remember one weekend you were just smashing up.
I was smashing it, and then I just sent you this because I just kind of like, I got all these different colored glasses, but the one that I actually smashed the first was this orange one, because I didn't mind, because I didn't like it. I think it was some ornament.
It's a pretty naff color, isn't it?
No. What happens if I kind of just desaturate the colors of the actual glass? Like, does that then look better?
So you've got pictures of the final ones?
I do have pictures of the final ones. So you can see them. And then these were the kind of final. I'll show you the hero shots like afterwards, just because I'll mess everything up otherwise. The kind of on the black background one that we talk about always. So this was, I think, the kind of nicest in terms of the color combinations, the kind of gray with the different bezel and the kind of sandblasted silver. And this was obviously the first year that we did on a mesh as well, which was quite new for us. Another example of how it could look.
Nice.
Yeah, so all of the, and then so that was kind of then moving on to like what we just talked about before, how we took this poster and then draped it round, kind of ruined it really. I should have given Sam a heads up that we were going to get onto this slide. Of how it could then work on the packaging, but then when it all folded up, how it also still looked like one of our screen prints that we normally do. So we still signed them and numbered them and embossed them. But it just had this kind of added intrigue that you could unfold it and actually, you know, see the entire coronation route. So we're now getting to launch date, Sam. This was September.
Launch date, yeah, September. Yeah. And we decided to launch the product at the same time online as we did in the real world.
Yeah.
Which was quite an undertaking considering the website crashed that morning, and I spent most of that day in a field on my phone trying to fix a website and dealing with people obviously saying they couldn't make an order. But we got there. We had a really successful day in the end. It was actually a pretty strong weekend on reflection.
It was, and this was almost the Mark III. We'd kind of built this bit that went kind of like a false wall that went halfway back, so that we could still get the posters, even we had a really deep marquee that we were in.
Yeah.
But we still have people now that ring us up and want to buy watches, and we'll say, "Oh, where did you meet us?" And they'll be like, "Oh, we saw you at Blenheim." And we're like, "Oh, no way."
Yeah.
So this was it. These were the launch boards of the Emmeline.
That is the Emmeline. So the two on the right are the Emmeline, the automatic quartz that come with the leather packaging you see at the bottom of the picture.
Yeah.
And on the left-hand side were the kind of male additions to the Emmeline's in that similar sort of colorway. Two automatics on the left, the black and the blue option. Quartzes, the grey and the green on their respective strap colors.
We were kind of running out of room at this point on our stand. It was kind of like, what we're going to do next year when we actually have another watch, because we've like maximized all the space that we had. But this was now moving back to, we wanted to make the packaging of the ladies slightly different, just because it didn't fall exactly within the same kind of processes.
We didn't want it to feel like a bolt-on, did we?
No.
It to feel special and its own thing.
So these are some of the original.
I mean, they were very simple, weren't they? The early edition, the early prototypes.
I wanted to see how they kind of compared with some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
We also completely rebranded everything from our warranty card to the tags that we have on the watch that shows, the kind of flyers that we put in the boxes when people buy watches, and all this kind of stuff. We thought, well, we might as well kind of do everything while we're doing the ladies packaging, which so the stuff here down the left and at the bottom was basically what we decided was the final design. Of which that kind of quote on the bottom there is now the quote that's on the inside.
It's our sort of extended tagline, really, isn't it?
Yeah. This was the back of the 953 poster that we ended up, because we didn't just want to have a plain back, so we basically used kind of technical drawings of the movements and the exploded views of the actual watch on the back of the poster. This was the final design of the Emmeline. So we ended up just with a really simple box with this kind of wrap around it. And then we're probably now into about October, November, maybe probably November, where we're actually then assembling all the pre-orders.
So those are Emmeline's, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah.
They've all sold. Every single Emmeline's sold out now, hasn't it?
Yep.
No more.
All gone. We also did all of our how-to videos at the end of that year, because we needed to explain to people how they take the spring bars out, so they could switch between the mesh strap and the leather strap. So we did a lot of how-to videos. That was then. Were just some of the others I was assembling at the time. And then we kind of almost capped it off that year. This would be December now, and this was Harrogate Country Living.
Yep, Harrogate.
There's us two. Is that what you're going to have your hair like?
What was I thinking?
It's nice. It's a lot of mushroom. I like the mushroom element to it.
Quite mushroomy.
Yeah, this is quite a narrow stand, was the Harrogate Country Living, so we had to try and pack everything into quite a small area. And then this was the one of a kind that Sam was talking about before. This was just assembling it.
So it's always nice to archive these shots. Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure on this. I didn't like assembling this for the sole fact that we had one of them, and I was just very aware that if I did anything to break any of the hands or anything, that it'd all be on me.
Yeah.
So there it is.
One of one.
Yeah, beautiful. We also moved into our new custom built assembly room. So this was like where we moved into here.
So this is, I mean, this is the vault of vaults, I guess, this room.
Yeah, this is where I'm sat now, in case you can't figure that out from the posters behind me.
I figured it out.
So yes, we spent a load of time like kitting this out and having, getting everything that we could possibly need in there so we could do everything that we want. This is the only reason I've got this photo in here is just to embarrass me, but also because we then also branded up our aprons for the first time. We'd never had them branded before, so we got them all embroidered, which was quite cool. And yeah, that was basically our.
We've spent quite a lot of time. I kind of feel like I don't want the kind of rush of the product to be a bit of a bolt on, so I might have to make something a little bit separate to talk about the products. So we've spent quite some time discussing.
Oh, sorry.
No need to apologise. But I thought that was a wonderful trip down memory lane.
Do you think anyone wants to see the hero shots? Should I show them quickly or not?
Yeah, let's have a look at the hero shots.
Okay. So yeah, just so that you can kind of then compare them to the ones that I was showing you before. So these were the very final images that made it into the book that you get with the watch. So this was the black one. Again, the glass worked really well with how kind of the reflections of the bezel on this watch, I think, because it almost looks like this kind of carved jewel because of the shape of the bezel. We wanted it to kind of reflect that with the things that were going around it. So this was the cream one of 25.
Yeah.
And our green one. This was wearing.
Love that shot.
Yeah, those colours are great on that.
Yeah.
And then this was the red one. Do I think that was the white one as well? And I couldn't find the Emmeline ones. They weren't in the same folder, so I don't have them to show. Yeah. So that is that.
A wonderful trip down memory lane.
Yeah. Well, I hope everyone's enjoyed that. It was a little bit different to normal, but yeah, it kind of shows what we get up to over a 12-month period.
It's a shame, isn't it? With everything that's going on right now, it really gives you time to reflect on, as much as it's hard work, just the things that ultimately it's doing these exhibitions are completely worthwhile. And you do miss getting out there and actually being in front of people to show these items that you put so much thought and attention to.
Well, I actually think as well, 2018 was probably the year that we did the most shows we'd ever done. I think we were up to about 18 that year. So it was absolutely jam-packed.
It was rammed, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so that was like designing all the branding, the new watch, the ladies' watch. Like it was, it went by in a blink of an eye. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe like how much stuff we managed to get done in there. But it's only when you look back that you're actually like, wow, we did quite a lot in that year. Yeah,
I'm sure we'll look back on 2020 maybe with the same sort of thought when it comes to everything we're getting up to. It might not feel like we're doing much, but yeah, that was great. That was wonderful. So what are we discussing next time?
So next week we have got 1968.
Sweet.
Motorsport watch, and hopefully I'll give Sam a bit more time to actually talk about the watch.
Well, I think the 68 was a kind of return to the same sort of thinking we'd set aside for the 1940. So yeah, we went a bit crazy on that one as well, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, maybe next week, maybe at the start of it, we'll start by kind of introducing the 1953, and then we can then show you the differences with the 1968, and that'll be kind of
yeah, that'd be a nice little addition. Yeah, sure.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, exciting. Loads of photos and things to go through then as well. We'll try and keep it a little bit briefer than today.
No, I think no, this is perfect timing.
Awesome. All right.
Goodbye,
Everybody. See you next week.
bye.